Myself, Dr. Murtaza Ansari, Department of Anatomy, GMC Bedia. Today's topic is external ear. Let us start the external ear. Just you see, this is so funny. A small child is showing. Today we have to study about the external ear. Now see this picture. What is the actual location of external ear in the skull? Observe here. This one is your external acoustic meatus. Above this, auricle is attached, and this portion is your anterior portion, frontal bone, orbit, and mandible, alveolar borders, and this is occipital bone, mastoid process here, and temporal bone region. So your region of external ear, middle and internal ear lies here. This is the region. This is styloid process. So this is the region under the temporal bone, especially petrous part, your middle ear and internal ear lies there. So come in the next slide. Just see here. This is your pinna auricle here, and see here this color. This is external ear and external auditory meatus. You can see here, and one here disc like green disc here. You can see this is your tympanic membrane. So what is the actual extent of your external ear? That includes your auricle and your this auditory canal up to the tympanic membrane. All these three includes the external ear, and behind the tympanic membrane is your in between the cochlea is middle ear. So three parts of ear: internal ear, middle ear, and external ear. Now we are studying about the external ear. So just see regarding the pinna. Just see here. This is the pinna here. You can see here, and different parts likewise. See here. This is this depression. This is cartilaginous part, except your lobule here. This is not cartilaginous, and this ring is somewhere deficient of cartilages. I will show you later on. And see here the triangular depressive area. There is depression, that is fossa triangularis, and one tubercle here. One tubercle you can see, that is Darwin's tubercle, and this shape, see this shape or external ear, that is known as scaphoid process, and this is antihelix. This is a concha. This one is just anterior inferior to the external auditory meatus. This is known as tragus. This is intertragal notch. This is lobule and antitragus. So different parts of this auricle are well mentioned here, and its shape just you are seeing. Come to the next slide. Here you can see in more details this outer lateral, this ring like structure of ear. External ear is helix. See here helix, and scapha. scaphoid-like structure. This is scapha, antihelix, coccymbia, triangular fossa, and superior crus. See, this region is the superior crus, inferior crus, and helicis crus, concha cavum, tragus, intertragic notch, this depressive area, intertragic notch, antitragus, and ear lobule. So, come in the next slide. Just you see the cut section of your auricle. You can see here these lines. You are seeing here these lines. These are the cartilaginous part, and somewhere it is deprived of the cartilaginous part. Here is not cartilaginous part is not continuous. Here is deficient. Just see. Here is it is deficient. So this deficient part of your external ear, that is known as incisura terminalis. See here the crus helix. Clinically it has very good importance because cartilage, any injury to the cartilages, healing is very poor. Healing is very poor in the cartilaginous part. So this region, if any incision you can give in this region in between the cartilages, healing will be good. And this area, any graft from this area, you can cut and you can utilize these cartilages. Just after this you can see the different uses of this cartilage. Here we can unite. It can be taken out. It can be taken out for the use of different parts of repair of deviated nasal septum or reconstruction of ala of the noses, and any incision stitches given in between this area, it will heal properly. So come in the next slide. See here, this is a concha and incisura. Along with the incisura you can give the incision. We can take the cartilaginous part for the reconstruction of your deviated, this is the nose area, and deviated nasal septum or reconstruction of your ala of the nose, and even this area, ear lobule, it is fatty, and also it helps in the reconstructive surgery of different parts of the nose. So come in the next slide. It has this ear lobule has a very good importance and very cosmetic value. More valuable is for the cosmetic use. See, this child is so happy, and you can see the so nice earring. So this is the beautiful and excellent utilization of your cosmetic value for the society in this. Now not only girls, boys are having the cosmetic value of this ear lobule. So now see this part. External auditory meatus, a canal, approximate length. See here, this is aura, auricle, this is lobule, this one is white disc is the tympanic membrane. You can see here the tortuous line. See here, it is not straight, it is tortuous. And approximate length of external auditory meatus is 24 mm. Now see here, the external part is 8 mm, approx 8 mm. It is cartilaginous. This part is cartilaginous. And see here the bone. See here the bone. So your bony portion is approximately how much? Approximately 16 mm. It is of 16 mm. So cartilaginous part, outer, and inner one is your bony part. 1/3 outer is cartilaginous and inner 2/3 part approximately 16 mm is bony part. See here, both external auditory meatus and internal auditory meatus So this canal is tortuous for examination of your tympanic membrane, or the narrowest part, which is isthmus nearer to the tympanic membrane and recess, superior or inferior recess, any wax or foreign body easily lodges there, and it becomes difficult to examine and see the recess, any lodged foreign body, or any changes or injury to the tympanic membrane clearly, because this tube is tortuous. Then superior part of the external ear, it is pulled up and laterally and posteriorly to observe see the clear view of your tympanic membrane. See here, with the help of fingers, superiorly it is pulled up and laterally or slightly posteriorly. Now you can visualize here now you can see here the white ring, tympanic membrane. You can see here tympanic membrane. So just before this, see here, it is black spot, black area. You cannot visualize the tympanic membrane clearly, but as you pull the aura, you can have a very clear view of your tympanic membrane. So come for the next. Now regarding the tympanic membrane. Tympanic membrane divides this is the dividing line for external ear and middle ear. Now regarding the tympanic membrane, it develops from development of tympanic membrane is very important. It develops from the tubotympanic recess and first ectodermal cleft and intervening mesoderm. You remember three things: tubotympanic recess, and union of first part of the second pharyngeal pouch. Just remember, tubotympanic recess with and union of first part of the second pharyngeal pouch. First and second. Just remember, union of the first and part of the second pharyngeal pouch. Not completely second pharyngeal pouch, but part of the second pharyngeal pouch. They opposes the first ectodermal cleft with the mesoderm lying in between. This is very important. So just you see here, tubotympanic recess. This is your tubotympanic recess, and ectodermal cleft. You can see here, and mesoderm here. And see here in the next slide. So they form the tympanic membrane. Now while dealing with the layers of tympanic membrane, I will leave the different three layers of the tympanic membrane later on. Just see here. See here the tympanic membrane. Regarding the tympanic membrane, it is a semi-transparent membrane. Semi-transparent. It is not transparent, but semi-transparent membrane. This is your tympanic membrane. See here the tympanic membrane. This is the ring where the tympanic margin of the external margin of the tympanic membrane attached with the fibrocartilaginous ring here. This is the bony part here. So it's a semi-transparent membrane, trilaminar. It is trilaminar and oval in shape. See the oval shape of your tympanic membrane, and thickness is approximately 0.1 mm, approx 0.1 mm, and diameter is 8 to 10 millimeter. Diameter, this diameter. This diameter is approximately 8 to 10 mm, and position is at inclination of, see here this line, this is the vertical line, and inclination line is this. This is this angle, this angle, this angle, this angle. See this line, see this line. Inclination is approximately 55 degree, 55 degree. So it is inclined, just remember this. Now come with the specific feature. What are the subdivisions of your tympanic membrane? This has two parts. The upper flaccid part, where the mucosa is loosely adherent, that is known as pars flaccida, and rest of the part is known as pars tensa. This green area is the pars tensa, and upper summit, see here, this cap like area superiorly attached. The superior part of the small area is known as the pars flaccida, and rest of this area is known as the pars tensa. Come here, just see. So different parts of the regarding the pars tensa. While examining the tympanic membrane, what you will observe? You will observe this tympanic membrane with this disc-like ring, which attached with the fibrocartilaginous part of the of the bone, and upper, see here, two folds. This one is your malleus. This one is the malleus bone. You can see here upper part of this area, two notches from where two structures, anterior and posterior. See here the anterior and posterior malleolar fold. You can see here the anterior and posterior malleolar fold, and in here is the lateral process of malleus, and you can see here the malleus, handle of the malleus here. This region is a pars flaccida, this one is a pars tensa. So most of the tympanic membrane thickened in its periphery to form the annulus tympanicus. Annulus, see here, ring-like structure, that is known as annulus tympanicus. The rim presents a notch above which give attachment to the anterior and posterior malleolar fold. See here, two notches from where the anterior and posterior malleolar folds attach. Come in the next slide. Regarding pars flaccida, also called Sharpnell's membrane, this region, this is known as, this area is the pars flaccida, and also known as Sharpnell's membrane. And you can see here the anterior and posterior malleolar fold and lateral process of the malleus. See here. Just observe the inclination of your tympanic membrane. It is directed downward, anteriorly and laterally. This portion is lateral portion, this one is medial portion. So it is directed inclined, and direction is downward, laterally, and laterally. The concave towards the malleus. Now, the lateral surface is concave towards the meatus. Just see the lateral, this one is your lateral surface, directed downward, anteriorly and laterally. And this surface of the tympanic membrane is concave toward meatus. It is concave and directed downwards, forward and laterally. See here, downward, forward and laterally. This one is the direction. So it is lateral surface, and this region is your medial surface. This surface is your lateral surface of tympanic membrane. See here, the medial surface is convex. Medial surface is maximum point of maximum, just see, convexity, this concavity, and this one is convexity. The maximum part of convexity, this area, this region, you can see maximum part of convexity is known as umbo. This is known as umbo. This is very important part. Just remember. So medial surface convex towards the middle layer, and maximum convexity is known as the umbo. Cone of light, area of illumination. While examining the tympanic membrane, illumination of light, some part illuminated is seen through the observing instrument. This area of illumination in the antero-inferior quadrant, you can divide this area tympanic membrane into 4 quadrants. This one is antero-inferior and antero-superior, posterior-superior and posterior-inferior. The antero-inferior quadrant, see here, whitish triangular area below the umbo, this is known as cone of light. So come now, regarding the 3 layers of your tympanic membrane, layers of tympanic membrane, you can see here, layers of tympanic membrane. This, see here the maximum convexity. This one is medial surface of your tympanic membrane. This one is lateral surface of tympanic membrane. See here the first layer, second layer, and third layer. 3 layers known as outer cuticle layer. This one is outer part. Here starts the external auditory meatus. So outer layer is the outer cuticular layer. In between, see here the dark green area, blackish dark green area. This is middle fibrous layer. Outer is cuticular layer, and middle one is fibrous layer, and inner one, see here the epithelium. Inner one is the mucus layer. So remember, these 3 layers, they are asked in the examinations by the examiner. Usually this question will be asked to you. What is umbo and what are the layers of tympanic membrane? You remember this. So see here, the outer 3 layers, outer cuticular layer lined by hairless keratinized squamous epithelium. See here, this epithelium, just remember, this is lined by the hairless keratinized squamous epithelium. And next, see here, the outer cuticular layer, it is lined by hairless keratinized squamous epithelium, intermediate fibrous layer, outer radiating layer fibers, and inner circular layer. In the next slide I will show you this arrangement of the fibers. And inner mucus layer is lined by the single layer of ciliated columnar epithelium. See here, see the cilia, very clearly you can observe the cilia. So outer cuticular layer lined by hairless keratinized squamous epithelium, intermediate layer fibrous layer, outer radiating layer and inner circular layer, and innermost area, inner mucus layer lined by single layer of ciliated columnar epithelium. So remember this, it will be asked in the examination. Come to the next. While examining the tympanic membrane, this instrument, I can examine the internal structure of the innermost area. Just see anterior and lateral to the 2 recesses. Here 2 recesses, superior and inferior recess, and this recess just lateral to this area. This area is known as isthmus, narrowest part of the external auditory meatus. So it is very easily foreign body enters and lodged here. For the extraction of the foreign body from this part or extraction of your wax is the major problem and maximum cause of pain in the ear or otalgia, especially in the children, it is nothing but wax. So this is the we can examine the tympanic membrane or inner area of the external ear with the help of this instrument, and we will observe these parts. You will observe visible on the examination will be the handle of malleus. See here, just we will observe the handle of malleus and lateral this process. See here, lateral process of malleolus, long process of incus you can see here. Thus is the front area. This front area is the long process of incus, and you can see here the cone of light. Just before this I have mentioned the cone of light. This is the area of illumination, cone of light. From the next slide. Clinically we can divide the tympanic membrane in 4 quadrants. A vertical line, this line just crossing through the umbo. With right angle second we can draw the line along with the umbo with right angle. This area can be divided into 1, see here, 1, 2, 3 and 4 areas for the clinical correlation. One very important area to divide this tympanic membrane is the safest area for incision or myringotomy. For any incision giving over the tympanic membrane is known as myringotomy. Safest area for myringotomy or for any incision to put over the tympanic membrane, safest area is antero-inferior. This one is antero-inferior part. This is the safest. Why? In the medial surface upper part, some important nerves are there. There is chances to damage that. That is especially chora tympani nerve. So safest area is this antero-inferior part. Come over the next. Nerve supply. Your nerve supply is the anterior part has lateral surface. Anterior part has the lateral surface which is supplied or innervated by the auriculotemporal nerve. The anterior part has a lateral surface which is innervated by the auriculotemporal nerve. Posterior part has lateral surface which is innervated by the auricular branch of vagus nerve. So remember these two nerves, auricular branch of the vagus nerve and auriculotemporal nerve. And medial surface is supplied by the tympanic branch of the glossopharyngeal nerve. Very important, this one is asked in the examination. Remember this, medial surface is supplied by tympanic branch of glossopharyngeal nerve via tympanic plexus. Via tympanic plexuses. You can see here the tympanic plexus. See here the tympanic. This one is your TM. So remember this plexus, tympanic plexus and tympanic branch of the glossopharyngeal nerve here is very important. This one is tympanic membrane. Head of the malleus is attached throughout the medial surface of the up to the umbo. See here, up to the umbo it is attached here over the medial surface of the tympanic membrane. So come in the next. regarding the blood supply of the tympanic membrane, outer surface is supplied by the deep auricular artery, branch of the maxillary artery, first part of maxillary artery. The deep auricular artery branch of the first part of maxillary artery. Inner surface supplied by the anterior tympanic artery by the branch of the stylomastoid artery. No, it is a branch of first part of maxillary artery. Sorry, outer surface supplied by the deep auricular artery, branch of the first part of maxillary artery, and your inner surface anterior and posterior tympanic artery supplied by the anterior part is supplied by the tympanic artery and branch of the first part of maxillary artery, whereas the posterior part is supplied by the stylomastoid artery. This one is asked in the examinations. Now come regard the first, just for your, I am summarizing again. The arterial supply, the outer surface supplied by the deep auricular artery, branch of the first part of the maxillary artery, inner surface supplied by the anterior part supplied by the tympanic artery, branch of the first part of maxillary artery, posterior part is supplied by the tympanic artery, branch of the stylomastoid artery. This one is very important, it will be asked in the examination. So regarding the venous supply, outer surface is drained into the external jugular vein. See here, it is arterial supply, and now you can see the venous supply. Just see here, venous supply is the outer surface drains into the external jugular vein and inner surface drains into transverse sinus and pterygoid venous plexus. You can see here the transverse sinus, see here the transverse sinus and your pterygoid venous plexus. You can see here. Now come in the next slide. This one is your tympanic membrane. Just see tympanic membrane and handle of the malleus, antero-inferior quadrant. You have seen this perforation. This one is known as the perforation of the tympanic membrane leads into chronic suppurative otitis media, CSOM. That is the most common cause of infection in the ear and pus discharge and pain. Even lead to the chronic suppurative otitis media may lead to the infection into the mastoid process, that is mastoiditis, or any infection in the bone in that region for long time may lead to the meningitis. One of the rare cause, though rare, but it may happen. So perforation in this tympanic membrane may lead to the chronic suppurative otitis media. You can see in the severe pain, reddish area, always pus discharge from the ear. That is very dangerous time. So we have to be clean our external auditory meatus and any infection, any pain. One very important, your external auditory meatus where the hair lines, usually infection at the root of the hairs, likewise in the dealing with the upper eyelid, with the orbit and eyelids, STI you can remember. Same infection in this canal may lead to the furuncle, that is known as furuncle of the ear. That is very, very painful, very, very painful. And you can see the picture of chronic suppurative otitis. See here the pus discharge. You can see here this is external auditory meatus, this pinna, auricle, and see here the pus discharge from your, the continuous pus discharge may lead to the posterior infection to the air cells of the mastoid and usually it's a very dangerous situation. Infection of the hair follicles leading to the furuncle may infect the tympanic membrane, and perforation of the tympanic membrane leads to the CSOM. Chronic suppurative otitis media may lead to the mastoiditis, and so many consequences. There are sinuses inside the dura, and meningitis may occur. So you can see next slide. How painful is this condition? This sweet baby is in pain, holding his ears and crying. This is otalgia, pain in your ear. Take care of your ears. See here. She is in deep agony. This reddish zone of pain around the ear, in the ear. See here. There is some types of congenital anomaly, that is microtia of ear. Microtia. There is no development, proper development of so many anomalies, varieties of anomalies. You can see microtia, and so many. So regarding the, just I am summarizing, you remember the parts of your external ear: pinna, external auditory meatus, tympanic membrane, cartilaginous part, bony part, total length, and use of non-cartilaginous and cartilaginous part of the ear in the reconstructive surgery, and regarding the tympanic membrane development, arterial, venous and nerve supply, and regarding the different layers of your tympanic membrane, umbo and quadrants, cone of light, and clinical conditions of your ear. I think it will be helpful for you. Just go on reading, go on reading, go on reading. I don't know, in any time your examination will be called, may be held online. So prepare daily. Go on reading honestly. Thanks a lot.